boom. Hi, everyone. Thank you to Rutgers University and the MART Conference for having me today. I am Marti Cummings, and my pronouns are they, them, theirs, and I am so incredibly honored to be joining you today. I did an awesome Q&A earlier today with the MART Conference about queer voices at the table of government, and I'm just really overwhelmed to have been asked to speak at this. I grew up on a little farm in Maryland and went to Catholic school. And so needless to say, I didn't really fit in. I was a very queer child. And I played with my Barbies and my Polly Pockets and my My Little Ponies. So I wasn't the most popular kid on the playground. I remember my third grade birthday party, no one came. And I remember when I was a kid, not only did the kids pick on me for being different, but I would often have their parents ask me why I acted like a girl. And that's always stuck with me. And that's why I'm excited to be a candidate for office and to be a drag artist who's now invited to speak at a university, because all those things that I was picked on for as a kid are the things I'm most proud of about who I am. And, so I grew up on this farm and I moved to New York when I was 17 years old, 2 weeks after graduating high school. And 17 in New York is wild. And so I experienced a lot of new life things very quickly, going from the farm and Catholic school to the Upper West Side. I accidentally became a drag queen. It just kind of happened. I started experimenting with clothing, and my partner at the time said, "Oh, you're having fun. You should explore this more." And so I did, and I got a gig, and then another gig, and then another gig. But I also was deeply impacted by the disease of alcoholism and addiction. So all those gigs that I acquired quickly went away, and I was making $125 a week and stealing toilet paper from bars, bathrooms, and fruit from bodegas to get by. And, I really hit bottom. And it was really scary. And then by the grace of, some people call it God, I was able to get sober, and I'll have 10 years sober at the end of this month, which I'm so grateful for. But through that, I was able to rebuild that drag career and start working full-time and consistently as a drag artist. And so through the art form of drag, I learned about the people who have come before and fought for political resistance through drag, and that the art of drag in itself is a form of political resistance and political action. And I learned about people like William Dorsey Swann, the first known drag artist in America, who was a former slave, who would hold underground speakeasies for queer people where they could dress up, and about Jose Sarria, who was a drag artist in San Francisco, who was the first drag artist to run for office in this country in 1961. And now today, to be someone who is not a traditional candidate, who is from a non-traditional field of work running for office, is really quite overwhelming in the best way, because drag has taught me about working with others, organizing as a community. Many, many years ago, it taught me about taking to the streets for Occupy Wall Street. And then this past year, taking to the streets for Black Lives Matter and for our Black trans lives. And it's taught me that politics is local. So I joined my community board and have proudly served on the senior issues committee. And I serve on the board of directors for the Ali Forney Center for Homeless LGBTQIA plus youth. And so when people say to me, well, how are you prepared to be a city council member? You're just a drag queen. Well, no, I'm not just a drag queen. The art form of drag is directly tied to political action and activism. And I'm so proud to be a part of an art form that not only entertains people, but educates, empowers, and uplifts. And that's what our campaign has been all about. For all those kids who felt picked on the playground or were alone at their birthday parties, this campaign is for them. This campaign is to bring non-traditional voices to the table of government, voices that know what it's like to be a gig worker who lives paycheck to paycheck in a city and in a country that's increasingly built for the wealthy. We need leaders who know firsthand this experience and are not going to work for the establishment, but are going to work for the needs of the people. And being the first non-binary candidate certainly has its challenges. Just yesterday, while petitioning on the street, I saw posters of mine that were slashed and torn up and not even ripped down, but had my whole face just cut out, and the rest of the poster was still there. So if you're creating that much of a reaction from somebody, I guess we're doing something right. And so when I spoke with some of the folks earlier today in the Q&A, we talked about this, and we talked about how queer voices are intersectional with the fight for justice with so many other groups. We need to come together and fight for true housing justice for all and education equitability. Your zip code should not dictate what education you receive. We need to fight for healthcare equitability and for environmental justice on the local level and for our small local businesses. And drag has taught me about all of that. We need to make sure that we're electing LGBTQIA plus people. We need to make sure that we're electing more women, that we're electing our BIPOC community, our Black and Brown and Indigenous communities into office. So we have full, true representation at the table. So I never thought I would be somebody who ran for office. I certainly never thought I'd be somebody speaking to a university. I did not go to college myself. I went to a performing arts conservatory. So this is the closest I've ever gotten to college. So thank you, Rutgers University. But I hope that this campaign shows young people who feel othered that they can make a difference, that they have the ability to make real change in their communities. And when people tell you you can't do it, then stand up and prove to them that you can, and that you have an active role in our society. And whether that's running for office yourself or volunteering for a campaign or just picking up litter on the side of the road to make your neighborhood a little nicer, we all have a role to play in this. And I hope those young kids feel seen. And I hope that people who have never encountered somebody who's non-binary before are open to new possibilities, that gender is just a social construct, and trans and non-binary and genderqueer people have always been a part of humanity and have always been a part of society. And now we are given an opportunity to speak up and to use our voices. And that's why we're in this fight. And as over 200 bills across this country and state legislative bodies are working to actively work against trans and non-binary and genderqueer people, it's going to take not just our community speaking up, but our allies to speak up and to put their bodies on the line, to take to the street and stand up for what is right, to continue to fight back for queer people, and to continue to fight back for our Black and Brown and Indigenous and immigrant communities who have been pushed down and overlooked in this country for far too long. It is a new day and a new dawn, and no longer will we stand by and allow the wealthy, heterosexual, straight ideals dictate what is right in this country. Because what is right in this country is true equality and equitability, and we will continue to push forward and fight for it. And that's what drag has taught me. That's what this campaign is about. So when people say to me, oh, you're just a drag queen, well, we are just a drag queen who will not be silenced and will continue to fight. And I hope that the people watching this today pick up the fight for social justice, because the time for change is now. And I'm so grateful to be with all of you today. I'm grateful to be invited to speak with all of you today. And I hope to engage with all of you one-on-one at some point. Slide into those DMs, get involved with our campaign, and find out what's happening in your community, in your own backyard, and find out how you can get involved. Never let anybody tell you that your voice doesn't matter, because it does. Thank you so much, Rutgers, and the MART conference for having me. I wish you all well, and I am grateful, and thank you so much.